Greetings and salutations, listeners. I, Eric J. Chucci, joined, as always, by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and today we're finally talking about Tieflings.
Always. Tieflings are a fun race. How to put this? There's a lot of different ways we could kind of approach this subject, but one of the things I want to call out right up front is just mechanic variation. If there's anything you want to do, provided it involves charisma in some way, you've got a Tiefling race that can do that for you.
Yeah. The extras that were added in, I don't remember if it was Xanathar's Guide or the Elemental Evil. Or was it the multiverse one? Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Regardless, the extra options that were added really branched out what you could do with a Tiefling.
Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we did one of these race podcasts, so I kind of forget if we bother to try and summarize them for what they are, or if we just go straight into the stuff we like about them.
No, I mean, like, you're here. We're not popular enough that you're coming to us first about Dungeons and Dragons.
That's good, because I didn't want to...
Wikipedia exists. I mean, like, this is not a high budget. Look, all right, you know what? 100%. I'll put it this way: there is a link in the description to my Patreon. If you want us to become the kind of high budget show where you look at our gross ass faces and we have like an intro that isn't something I photoshopped together out of old DX footage and a song that my dear friend Jesse let me use, then, you know, you just give us a little dono and we'll do our best with it. But you don't, and that's fine. So this is what we provide. It is equivalent exchange. We give you nothing for nothing.
So here's some nothing. What do you like about Tieflings? What do you like? What is the positive aspects of Tieflings, either as a player or as a DM?
I didn't use Tieflings until last year. I had considered playing one a long time ago, back when they were more like Fey Touch sort of characters, and had more animal parts.
When you could like roll randomly and end up with like wings or goat legs.
I mean, they were still like chaos touched, but they were more chaos than specifically infernal or abyssal or what the fuck ever. A distinction that D&D continues to tell me is very important, and I disagree. But, last year I decided to start doing shit against what I usually do. For the longest time I played elf rogues, and then I kind of branched out a little bit to either big smashy guys or sad paladins. So...
God, he's played so many Saladins, you guys.
So instead I played a swag paladin who was a tiefling. I think the default tiefling spells kind of are lame. They have their uses, but...
It's not that they're lame so much as they utilize an element that in 5th edition sucks.
I mean, it's better than poison.
Yeah, that's fair. But, like, fire is a basic bitch element for spells in 5th edition. Lots of stuff has either resistance or immunity to it, including tieflings.
So it's one of those things that's like... Here's, a lot of your class's power locked up in these 3 spells you get, which are of moderate use at best. I like the ones that have more utility to them.
And thankfully there are quite a lot of those.
I end up usually playing Mammon. Tiefling of Mammon, I believe. Those are the ones with Tensor's Floating Disc and Arcane Lock, I think. And
Mage Hand, Tensor's Floating Disc, and Arcane Lock, yeah.
I think those are my favorite. But
it's just a really good support set. It's a good set of support shit.
But I mean, I don't like what 4th edition did to them visually. I liked the calmed down route that that 5th edition takes.
Where they all look kind of similar. They look like tieflings.
Well, yeah, but they're not, like, in 4th edition, they were like, no, they've got the biggest, squarest ass forehead horns. You're looking at, like, what if you took the ears of a Ferengi and the forehead of a Klingon and mashed that on the front of someone's face, and then horns came out of that. And they calm down on that a little bit. They're not quite as... I'm sorry, buddy, but you have to look like you have facial damage. Shovel forehead syndrome.
That's just 4th edition art, my dude.
I mean, yeah. Well, and yeah, it's not like in 5th edition we imagine that all halflings are horrible goblin monsters of abstract art.
No, they just look like small people, thank you. Rather large feet for their size.
All of them enjoying a good cucumber, as one is wont to do.
No, let's please not again.
Y'all, go back to the Halfling podcast. It was a trip. Yeah, I don't know. I like them. I've used a lot of Tieflings since then. I would play another one. They're cool. There's just... I don't really do anything with their, like, base lore. Like, Og, I am somehow tainted.
Yeah, that's actually something I wanted to address, because I don't know if it is... Again, there's another 5th edition race whose lore I legitimately have not read.
I've read it like 3 times and it never sticks. It's not that different from 4th edition. At some point in their past, they made it more vague, if I recall correctly. They have some sort of taint in their lineage. But it's like, it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, they have a... Okay. Yeah, it's like an ancient descendant thing. Like,
yeah.
You had like a succubus in your hierarchy, in your background, like 19 generations ago and shit.
Much as elves are fae descended, tieflings are demon-y descended.
Demon or devil, depending. Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't have any problem with that, but like the baggage that comes with it, I am descended from darkness. Is it my fate to be evil? That just don't move me, man. It doesn't bring joy, as it were. It does not spark joy.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's because of who I am and where I am and how old I am and the life experiences I've had. But for me, a character who is, I am descended from darkness, does that mean it's my only fate to be dark? I don't know, man. Is it? You could probably make your own decisions.
So, they're just a cool visual.
Yeah, with some cool stat bonuses.
And there is something to be said for taking advantage of that aspect of of their heritage, for playing into that, for playing like a tiefling warlock who embraces his infernal side. That's an interesting concept.
I would rather have that more than the, I am damned to be who I am. If I wanted to play a character like that, who is, am I just garbage? Is there no coming back from it? I would make their personal backstory.
Yeah, it would be that person's thing, not some sort of
spoiler alert
original sin.
Blackwall from Dragon Age, I think is better.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It being but it is useful to use as, one, a good aesthetic, and two, like I said, if they're embracing it or if it's providing something else for the character. I played a tiefling warlock. It's an old one's warlock because I just like their power set better than infernal warlocks.
Again, fire.
Yep. But I played a tiefling warlock who wasn't tortured or didn't believe himself to be destined for evil. He just had a humongous fucking chip on his shoulder because everyone else thought that. That's as far as he could tell in his world, in his perception. Everyone looked at him and thought, "Well, there's a tiefling. Oh, he's probably just some shitter who's looking for the first excuse to be evil." And he wasn't, and he was really, really fucking upset about the fact that people saw him that way. Whether or not they actually did doesn't matter. It's how he perceived the world. So he had a huge chip on his shoulder about it. It was a wonderfully fun character to play because I wasn't an ass about it. I played it for comedy to a certain extent. I got to use some of my favorite internet memes.
Yeah.
Am I being detained? Am I being detained right now?
That poor bewildered cop.
I I know my rights. But like, it's a useful tool, but I don't like how universal it feels when I just sort of vaguely look at their lore. And if the details might, self-reliant and suspicious is something that they subsist in small minorities found mostly in human cities or towns. As a DM, I threw that out the window. I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you. I threw that out. Just en masse. Hook, line, and sinker. I tossed it all over the water. Tieflings in my setting come largely from the XP Fort Greece. They, through a series of events, hold a lot of political and social power in the seat of an ancient empire. So they're like the upper echelons of essentially the, Greek forum that runs the seat of this ancient religious empire. And that fits better for me because it lets them still utilize that heritage they share, whilst at the same time not... I don't like the idea of them as an oppressed minority so much as a specific ethnic group.
That's basically how I take them. Like I said before, elves but different. I think they work better as like, maybe they're more drawn to, darker isn't the word I'd use, but more indulgent things.
They have a taste for the finer things in life.
Sure.
They tend to accumulate power and wealth and finery and all those things, and they have an air of sophistication. I guess more a man of wealth and taste than your standard pitchfork-wielding devil man. I like that because it also helps, provide some extra spice to what would otherwise be essentially just grease, and would therefore be a little boring.
In my setting, I believe I've only ever had the one tiefling, and it's the one in our party. And she's from Dark Souls, so... in that sense, I've never really sat down and thought about it, but it might be a situation of, hey, there is more energy from an infernal sort of plane here. Perhaps that is what people are.
Yeah.
It's not... I don't really go out of my way too hard with the stereotypes, just because it doesn't suit my needs much. I guess my characters tend to be diverse or mundane, either one, enough that I'm not going to lead you with their race. Like, as much as we've talked about it in previous podcasts, how useful it could be, especially with dwarves, you can't make assumptions on people based on, it's a dwarf, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. Not necessarily.
It can be a useful tool.
It can be.
For establishing things as a DM and for a player to play into, but just for whatever reason, specifically the lore around tieflings, it doesn't... I don't enjoy it. It doesn't fit anywhere I would want to use as a DM. And the only reason I would use it as a player is to either play into it and revel in the okay, you think I'm an asshole? Guess what? I'm an asshole. You want me to be the bad guy? I'm the fucking bad guy now. Or have a chip on my shoulder about it, because that provides excellent opportunity for growth. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, there's any problem with using those stereotypes. I use them as a player way more than I do as a DM. And they're useful. I just, in retrospect, I don't as much anymore. Like, it's just not... You can expect a certain accent or maybe technical inclination. Elves good at magic and nature. Dwarves good at machines, smithing. But, like, in terms of their actual overall cultural attitude, it kind of falls back a little bit. Takes a second stage.
For me, it varies by race. Dwarves are dwarves.
Yeah.
I like dwarves. I really enjoy their lore. I really enjoy how they're set up. So in large part, dwarves are dwarves.
It's not even a thing I do consciously, I don't think.
But...
And I think tieflings are a good expression of that, because, like, they really are just another set of people when I use them as a DM. When I'm using them as a player, obviously depends on the setting. I've played Russian con artists, and I've played faux Greek paladins.
Yeah, I also played a Russian con artist.
Glory.
We played a pair of Russian tieflings who were twins. We were Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Don't tell anybody.
The DM totally didn't know.
Definitely not.
No.
But I'm struggling to think of anything that's actually wrong with tieflings. Because as much as I say, like, their base lore doesn't move me, it's not something I want to use.
It's good for a teenager.
It's good lore. It's
and
solid
lore, yeah. I mean, and it's one of those things, too, where if you're building your world with hard walls, like, this is what a dwarf is, this is what a tiefling is, this is what a halfling is.
It's good.
It's great.
It's very useful for that.
It provides really great context for somebody who can feel disenfranchised by the church. For example, let's say I'm playing the same character, Tiefling Paladin. He is a paladin of a god who has graced him with deific power. He didn't train for this, he was chosen. And this flies in the face of everything their religion is about, and nobody in the church trusts him. That is a character you could play. And that's a great character to play. There's a lot of good foundation for interesting arcs and conflicts. It gives you DM tools, it gives you tools to play with, and...
Yeah, that's the thing is, this is kind of a hard podcast to do, because normally I talk about the stuff I like about tieflings, and I really like their mechanics. The only thing I wish is that I wish some of the ones who were... I wish they changed what resistance you get based on what your demon... Like, what your devil mom is.
That's DM fiat, honestly. And there's that great feat you can get, which gives you even more resistances. So.
Yeah, but... It's a minor mechanical nitpick. Otherwise, I like their mechanics just fine. And their lore is solid. I just don't prefer it. Personally. I think it's because I'm not enough of an edgy boy anymore. And I'm certainly not the other tiefling character that happens.
I'm the other tiefling character that happens. Yeah, I looking back when I was the edgy boy, though, and that's the thing, because I was, when I played D&D. When I started playing D&D in earnest, I was going through my egg phase. And, like, I wasn't playing that character. I was playing plucky rogues, and if I wanted to play a monster, I'd play a monster. But more often than not, I was either a gruff cowboy or a charismatic rogue. Like, as
you were edgy enough IRL that you didn't...
Yeah, I guess.
Whereas, like, when I went through my edgy phase, it wasn't...
You were smug magicians.
Yeah, I was a smug wizard. Because that's who I am as a person. But, yeah, it's not... I don't know, maybe I'm too old. Maybe it is just that I'm too old. Because there is very much the spirit of undirected rebellion within me as a person. I'm aware of that. It's a joke around the house of, my default reaction to any authority figure is, you're not my real dad. But I don't dig on that as a character in D&D. Like, in D&D, if I'm playing a D&D character... I'm playing a champion. I'm playing someone who is already endowed above and beyond the normal person with choice and freedom and the ability to make their will upon the world. I don't have to be a pointless mad rebel and stuff because, like, there's no need for me to rebel. If someone's an asshole, I'll just murder them.
And we continue murdering up the chain until someone goes...
Until
you know what? Make this guy a duke, I guess, because I don't want to fight him.
Until either we're out of assholes or they're out, or they are. Like, one of the two.
Well, and like in the games we play, there's not a lot of direct oppression. And never has there been in my Dungeons & Dragons games, mind you.
Because, alright, it's a little realer than I usually get on the podcast. That shit's not fun to roleplay.
It's not. I mean, like, I'm sure some people love that stuff, but I
have a part of my setting that has a lot of direct oppression. It gets used a lot for origins for characters, but there's never been a campaign there, and every time alright guys, where do we want the next campaign? That one's never really on the table. Everyone goes, not there. That's boring. That's sad.
It is.
It's a very different... sad and not fucking fun. I play D&D to have fun.
And there's like, there's that desire to be the Rebel Alliance,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got a lot of groundwork to do before y'all fly in X-Wings into the Death Star.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that groundwork. I don't want to smuggle Bothans in my ass. Wow, rusty screen door. You had it right on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look at that cat.
Yeah, we got a kitten recently, and he just made a noise that's not normal for him. So I'm going to vamp for you guys while my friend checks on the poor tiny kitten to make sure he's okay.
What are you talking about, dude?
So, in terms of utilizing Tieflings as an antagonist, I've had a lot more success. I have a antagonist who was, I thought, pretty compelling and useful. She's... Well, one of the players in the campaign is in the room with me, so I can't tell you what she's up to right now. But, well, it's not really a spoiler to say who she's based on, because at this point, I've never made a secret of the fact that this character is loosely based on someone from a video game.
Yeah.
The character of Silence from Horizon Zero Dawn. And I took him and made him a tiefling lady, because that was cooler looking. If you've played that game, you know that character's very interesting. And antagonist isn't necessarily the right way to phrase it.
I would agree with that as the person she was directly opposing.
That means I was doing my job.
Yeah, because the character was used in such a way as that my character, who...
His name is Ezra Sobek. If you've played Horizon Zero Dawn, you get the joke. We can move on.
Well, what if Taliesin Jaffe made a half-drow scientist? Is what I was playing. So, all that combined, I'm sure you know exactly what's going on if you happen to understand that cross-section of pop culture.
And
ephemera.
I can't explain more than that, because that would be spoilers for something I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, but, he didn't... It wasn't so much that it was like, oh, bad, evil, verboten, we must fight her. It was more like, you need some time to reevaluate your ideals. I'm going to put you in a box for a while and take that thing you wanted. I hope that doesn't end poorly for me.
And I can neither confirm nor deny. But she was making her a tiefling. One, provided some of the same thematic sort of underpinnings that Silence origin in Horizon Zero Dawn gives him. And it also allowed me to provide an air of mystery, because tieflings are also pretty common on the other planes in my setting. Much more common on the other planes than they are on the material plane. Which means that it provides an easy way into an air of mystery of where is this person from? Are they from the material plane, or are they from somewhere else?
Yeah, there was that air to it as well.
And that's something I intentionally wanted to utilize. And so, they're really good antagonists, and I don't use them much in the way of, general NPCs, because you guys have never gone to where they are, essentially.
Yeah, we're always way north of that shit.
Sometimes you get pretty, this most recent campaign is the closest you guys have ever gotten to where they would be from, to the Red Marches.
Yeah.
But, if you were to go there, it would be a lot more tieflings. Not a majority tieflings, but a lot more, certainly. There's a couple other places in the setting where you can find them concentrated. The far east of the setting, there's a couple settlements of almost entirely tieflings. It's places like that.
I don't know about as a unified culture, but when I use tieflings, I really play into that charisma.
Well, yeah, because they all get a bonus to charisma. So, finding a genuinely boring or uninteresting tiefling is kind of gotta go out of your way.
I make them characters. I make them pop. I make them interesting. I will give them unique individual theme music. I will make sure that people are looking at them. Like, just by making them fixtures in some way or another. Loud personalities or just bombastic or whatever.
Which is a really good tool and a really good way to play up the mechanics of the character.
Well, we're rounding down on the last 5 minutes of this podcast, so let's do that usual final question. I start a game tomorrow. It's 5th edition. We're all playing. Everybody else has decided their characters, and somehow it allows you to make anything. But you have to make a tiefling. What do you make?
There's so many damn 5th edition characters I want to play.
I know, right?
That I'm upset that I have to push tiefling up the line. Because it was already on the line. Let's be clear. But I have to push it up the line. I would probably, I would end up playing a race with charisma as a casting stat. Like a class with charisma as a casting stat. Because I'm not going to intentionally nerf myself. But, so that leaves most of the casting classes. Because that's Paladin, Bard, Warlock, and Sorcerer.
Yeah.
I played a Sorcerer recently, and I had an excellent fucking time, but I don't need to play another one soon. I already played literally a Tiefling Warlock, and I wouldn't want to retread that ground. I'd be torn between Paladin and Bard, and they're pretty similar classes. But it would... they're both, like... no, Bard's a lot more supporty. Paladin.
Bard's heavy supporty, and you can get some, like, occasional DPS
I'm thinking, like, melee spellcasting hybrid classes. Because Bard and...
Yeah, Bard doesn't melee as well, though.
That's true.
They're pretty squish.
Whereas
Paladin's got so much self-heal.
And so much good tanking.
And just throws on armor like it's nothing.
I would be torn. I would probably end up playing a Bard because I wouldn't want to play a Tiefling Paladin because I've already seen a Tiefling Paladin done pretty much to the apex of what they're capable of being done.
So what you're saying is, I'm the best.
Yes, Santos. But yeah, I'd probably end up playing a Tiefling Bard. One of the variant Tieflings who had a good set of spells for Bard. And I would probably end up playing... If College of Swords is good, College of Swords.
It's not bad. The only reason I didn't like it is because I was trying to stay away from a dex bonus character.
And
it's pretty good.
College of Swords isn't my thing, there was like... One of the Bard colleges is essentially Sherlock Holmes, right?
I think you might be thinking of a rogue.
I'm thinking of a rogue.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, probably, like, College of Whispers.
Whispers isn't bad.
In terms of personality, I would probably make him friendly and gregarious and fundamentally untrusting. But not in, like, a suspicious way, just in a pragmatic way.
Nice.
You? You know what? No, we'll reverse it since I'm usually DMing. Although that's not true as much these days. So, you know what? No. I'm not going to say you have to put bards in your tieflings in your campaign heavy. You have to play a tiefling. What do you play? Same stipulations.
I mean, I think I've covered, for that matter, what I would do if I had to put tieflings in my campaign in a heavy way. They would just be big, bombastic characters. They would probably all be Game of Thronesing and trying to move the party about like pawns until that all went terribly for them.
Because it's a party of D&D players. Best of luck, asshole!
No, if I had to play Tiefling, there's one that I've got in the back of my head for the meme, which would be one of the Elemental Barbarians. I forget the actual names of them. The Fire one. And he would be based largely on Damien from Monster High. You don't know that character.
No, not at all. I have no idea who the fuck
He likes to
is.
break and destroy things and kill and murder and maim, and like with fire especially.
So you...
Like, that's the meme version, though. Like, the literal murder hobo. The D&D character. But he's going to pull up something on his phone to shame me, so I will go into my actual, like, what I would actually do, because, God, even if I started to stat that character up, I would go, no, I don't want to do this. It's funny, but is it funny beyond that? Or we'd be in a rush, and I'd play the character for 2 sessions, and then change to something else.
You're suggesting playing War and Peace from Sky High.
Oh, I've never seen that.
If you've seen Sky High, you just laughed. I know you did. This is him.
Well, he looks cool. Oh, look at his little flamey arms.
Yeah.
Rogue might be fun. I'm a person who likes having a high charisma, period. So I don't feel as locked down to, oh, well, I've got this sexy charisma bonus. I have to play a charisma class. No.
I mean, there are rogues that use charisma.
Oh, sure. But I could play a fighter for all that matters. Like, I just...
God, I do desperately want to play a champion fighter. They're so good.
My last character was the first character in a long time I've played who had a shitty charisma. And it wasn't even terrible, but, like, I was trained in no charisma skills. I might as well have had a shitty charisma. And it was so weird for me. It was uncomfortable. It was like wearing somebody else's socks. I didn't like it. So, yeah, I can use my charisma bonus for anything. I've been looking into rogues lately, and I don't have a set rogue I want to play. But Bard's not a bad option either, honestly. Tiefling Bards, I guess they're just popular.
Well, I mean, like, it's just right together. Bard is a squishy class, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
You get that resistance to fire, which is the other half of the basic bitch equation, is that a lot of stuff does fire damage, too.
Yeah.
You get, good charisma bonus right out the gate. Mm-hmm. You have just a lot of tools to help you out, and you have extra spells, which Bard is a sorcerer-type casting class where they only have the spells they know, right?
I think Bard works like a cleric or a druid.
Oh, neat.
They don't pray so much, but like memorize a songbook in the morning or something.
They can switch around. I haven't played a Bard.
I haven't either. I always find it, even if I'm playing somebody who's got even if I'm playing a cleric, I have a set rotation of typical spells.
Well, that's just so you don't go crazy.
Right. So, like, it's kind of trivial for me. It just depends on how flexible I get to be.
God, a cleric would... I want to play a life cleric in 5th edition, too.
Oh, my God.
Badly.
Clerics are so good. I'm really happy with how artificers are going, too. I could play a tiefling artificer. I could have fun with a tiefling artificer.
You do you. Those do not match up in my head at all.
Making hell machines, infernal engines. Do it. There's an engineer one. They make little turrets, man. That's awesome.
That would be pretty fucking cool.
But yeah, I think they're, like I said, you can kind of make a tiefling into anything. I like them a lot. Really turned around on them because of the tiefling I played. I've played 1 or 2 since, and I'm happy with them. They're in my regular rotation.
I probably won't be playing a tiefling anytime soon, just because I don't know when the next D&D game I'm going to be playing is. I
mean, this month, but it's your same character.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to change. No. I didn't think so.
No. But, like... God, you know what? Honestly, that character is the character I would have played as a tiefling if I didn't already play him as a half-elf.
Yeah.
But...
And you could have done Tiefling of Mammon, too.
Yep.
You would have had them good spells.
Yep.
Shit, dude, you fucked up.
I did. We're gonna top that. Everything's better when nerds talk about it. Fuck it.